Hey, I'm Heidi and welcome to the first video in my balance series. Today I wanted to talk about how it is that you set up prioritizing your day. And I know that most women, what they do is they prioritize pretty much everything that everybody else needs from them for the day. Okay, so we set up what our children need, what our boss needs, what our staff needs, what our business needs, and then kind of at the bottom of that, daily or weekly list, we kind of have ourselves last. And we don't really put a value or worth as a high priority on having our needs met compared to other people's needs met first. So what happens is that we always go, okay, I'll if I can just get this, and this done, then I'll take that time to have that walk, read that book, have time to myself, and it never actually ends up happening. And it's kind of like if I can just do, this is kind of the language that we use, then I'll eventually get that short moment of peace to myself. And it kind of actually never ends up happening. And then what can happen is that we can end up feeling really resentful. But there is a small part of ourselves that's actually setting that up. It's actually how we're setting up our days and our weeks and our months to never have that time. And then we can kind of end up having this sort of adult-sized tantrum where we're like, what about me? What about my needs? What about my time? But there is something in the way that we're planning our lives that actually, sets it up to be that way. And I wanted to talk today about being self-centered. And we hear this word and we kind of feel like it's a bad thing, putting yourself first is seen as being selfish or self-centered or self-focused. And I actually want to change your view on the word self-focused or self-centered. And I'm not talking about becoming a selfish person where everything is about you and you completely and utterly diminish, disregard, or completely let go of your responsibilities and other people's needs. But there is nothing wrong with being self. And by self, I mean the actual person beyond what you do, who you really are, the person that you go to bed with at night, being self-centered. So taking time to actually center with that part of yourself that no one else can ever touch, that no one else really knows. It's the part of you that exists that no one else really, really can ever touch or get to. And having time to center with that self, and it can come about in such a myriad of ways. There's so many ways that we can harness or get in touch with time to self. There are a million tools on my site to be able to do this, but for today I really wanted to talk about why we feel so guilty about having this time. And I share with you a story in this blog about trying to book a weekend away with a girlfriend recently and asking my partner 7 times throughout the booking process to kind of get this recognition and allowing myself to take this time, because I was fearful of, oh my God, will I be seen as a bad mother or a bad partner, or am I allowed to actually take this time? And it's crazy. Like, these are limitations that I've set up in my own mind to make things harder on myself than they need to be. But we all carry, I think, a little bit of this guilt about actually taking this time. And there are 2 main reasons that we do this. One is that we do actually see self-time as being selfish, self-centered, or self-focused, and we perceive all of these things as bad. And of course, everything is about balance. So if everything is about us, then of course those things are negative. But if it's never about us, that's a negative thing too. So when I figured out how to communicate to others that I have a lot of responsibility to, whether it be my staff, whether it be my partner or my child, and especially for my child, she's a little girl, and I want her to see that her mother actually understands the importance of taking care of herself, understands the importance of time out, understands the importance of self-care and compassion. Like, if I want to actually teach her the importance of the things, I have to show her how important they are to me. So for me, the art of transforming my relationship to like time out was a negative thing, was being able to actually communicate the importance of these things. And once my husband understood that, for me, time to myself to refill, it makes me a better mother, better partner, better business person, better friend, better everything. I come back smiling, I have energy, and sometimes I'm talking one night or a couple of hours away on my own. This doesn't need to be, a week away. This can just be like really, a short amount of time. And once he could see and understand how much that meant to me to kind of refill and have that yin, that downtime, then he's kind of all for it, because I'm a much kinder person. And we need that softness and that downtime to be able to continue to give in a soft and nurturing way as women. And rather than becoming hard, because I don't know about you, but I actually don't like myself very much when I'm hard. And hardness comes from just getting on this hamster wheel that kind of never ends, and there's just no time left for myself. So focusing on own needs, refilling on an internal level with your private self, not the public self that you show out in the workforce or out in the world, not the private self that you show to your partner or your children or your friends, or the person you are that just is kind of kicking around the house. Your inner self, the really, really private self, is different, and it needs nurturing, it needs refilling, and it needs time. And we really can only have that as women when, it's kind of like when the candle stops burning, when we kind of snuff the candle out. The candle needs oil to burn. So when you're looking at really refilling internally, we need to be able to have an exercise in our life. And it might be, for me, it's time to myself. It's my yoga, it's my meditation, it's my walks on the beach. It's all of those beautiful things. And for you, it might be painting, it might be journaling, it might be music, it might be, cooking on it might be, but most of the time it's on our own. To really kind of rebuild that connection with the person that's going out and doing all the doing every day. And it's refilling on that internal level. Now, the second thing that gets in the way and that we use as an excuse is that we're actually, in terms of stopping ourselves from, or feeling guilty about taking time out for ourselves or prioritizing our own needs at the top of the list, is that we actually get little small payoffs from kind of being a martyr. I can do it all, and look at me, I'm the worker and the mother and helping everyone all the time, which it's natural for females to want to help and give and support, probably more than anything, and definitely more than males. We are the supporters and the givers. But the thing is that it can create this kind of martyrism where resentment and anger can build because we're doing it all with little kind of payback. And there is these little kicks and it's a negative payoff. I call it a negative payoff that we get from saying, hey, I can do it all. And, but eventually we tire of it and resentment builds. And especially when we kind of crash or hit the deck, then we start pointing the fingers at everyone else and go, well, hey, it's because of you, and I do this and I do that, and that's why I am this way. But actually we set that up, and there was some kind of little payoff that we were getting, a little tick, a little bit of gratitude or appreciation or a sense of achievement for, overextending this natural urge or sense that we have to kind of give and nurture. And I know that I have been totally guilty of this. And then I wait for the kind of appreciation and I don't get it. And then I burn out and get cranky, and and this is something that we really need to change. So the one thing that I definitely developed a new sort of mindset around this, where I kind of made this pact with myself that I would only give every day the energy that I actually had to give, because it was only me that was wanting to overextend. So this comes back to, I guess, responsibility. It was only me that was overextending. And I just decided that as a resentment prevention plan, that I would stop overextending and listen to my body and take the time every day to go, what do I actually have to give today? And then stopping when I felt that I was, burning that candle without any oil. The one major thing that I want to leave with you today is to consider your self-care as a bank account. To actually consider your body and what it is that you have to give, like a bank account. And if you just keep giving, if you just kept sending money out of your bank account and transferring and paying, and you never thought of a way to refill it, you will eventually go bankrupt. And that's exactly what's going to happen with your energy, with your mental energy and clarity, and with your what you have to give emotionally and even spiritually. Like that, I think that's the worst part is, mentally we can crumble, emotionally we can crumble, but when we kind of lose touch with our own desires as women and our own direction, which is all of the soul and motivational and purpose and passion, you can't have that if you're not refilling that oil and or that bank account. So it's starting to really think about yourself as a bank account, and how can I make deposits, and what are those deposits going to be? What kind of really small deposits can I make into that bank account? Small moments repeated throughout a day, one thing a day, a big chunk every month. You have to figure out how it is in your life that you can make those deposits back to that inner self, back to refilling that oil, so that when you light that candle, the fire is there. The mental clarity is there, the energy is there, and the purpose and passion for your life is there. So I hope this has given you a little bit of clarity around, this idea of self-centering. Everyone has something that they love that centers them. Everyone has it. And it's about taking that time for yourself, that inner part of yourself, to refill that oil, doing something that centers you. And like I said, it can be every day, it can be weekly, it can be monthly, but it has to be worked in. And this is a resentment prevention plan. This is what's going to stop you from burning out. It's going to stop your stress levels in their tracks, so that stress never gets to a point where it's out of control. So I hope it's been helpful, and I look forward to chatting to you in the next video of our balance series.